desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing where it ought not. Let him that reads understand. Then let him that be in Judea flee to the mountains. And let him that is on the housetop not go down into the house, neither enter therein to take anything out of his house. And let him that is in the field not turn back again for to take up his garment. But woe to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. And pray you that your flight be not in the winter.
And you know, in verse 18, it also talks about, pray that your flight be not in the winter, or pray that it be not in the Sabbath day. Yeshua says that as well. So that's also proof where you have those certain pastors talking about, oh yeah, you can't keep the Sabbath day. That's just wicked to keep the Sabbath day after Yeshua. Then why would he give you a prophecy saying, oh, pray that you don't have to flight during the Sabbath day? Why would that have any importance, whether it was a Saturday or a Sabbath day, if you weren't keeping the Sabbath? So he's prophesying that you're going to be keeping the Sabbath in the future, and pray that you don't lose your peace on that day and have to flee and get up and run from your convocation. Go ahead.
Verse 19, for in those days shall be affliction, such as was not from the beginning of the creation which Elohim created, unto this time, neither shall be.
And just think about that video that you sent the other day. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
That was a pretty violent video. That's nothing. That's been done. We read about that in Maccabees. So those days shall be affliction, such as was not from the beginning of creation. That's pretty bad. Medieval days and the back in the Vikings and cave dweller days and all. There's some pretty bad things happen. So it has to get so bad that it's never been seen since creation. And you can see how they're amping us up to get to that point, because we're constantly being subjected with violence everywhere. They're pumping that. It's just the same test they did on those monkeys, where they put the monkeys in the strap them to the chair, and they put all the violent stuff on TV and forced them to watch it all this time and turn the animals into violent creatures. That's what they're doing to us, to the point where you've seen our little children where, the worst, you might have got a black eye or a bloody nose or something. Nowadays, kids are stabbing each other, killing each other. Kids killing their own relative, their brother, their sister. Things like that, because we are being conditioned for this time that's about to come. That's the only way you're going to see violence to the point where it's never been seen, where we have been so desensitized, and add desperation and hunger to that, to the point where the violence is worse than has ever been seen. Now add all our technology and all our different tools and weapons and all that. Add that to that equation.
Verse 20, and except that Yahweh had shortened those days, no flesh should be saved. But for the elect's sake, whom he has chosen, he has shortened the days. And then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is Mashiach, or lo, he is there, believe him not. For false Mashiachs and false prophets shall rise and shall show signs and wonders to seduce, if it were possible, even the elect.
So you have to ask yourself, what are you looking for? Are you looking for some grand display to keep the commandments or to know the truth? Or are you reading and studying and looking for the instructions that the Father gave us? It's just like with the holy days and with new month and all these different things. You got people that are looking for these grand signs like, oh, you see it's a blood red moon. That means it's got to be the new year. Or where you see that? Your book don't tell you that. Well, you see the earth, the shadow on the earth is a perfect line across the imaginary line of the equator, and you can put an egg on its tip and it's going to stay there. That's how you know that's the last day of the year. Where does it say that? It don't say that. But it do give us instructions in Enoch that when you have equal day and equal night coming out of the wintertime, that is the last day of the year. That's the instructions. So it's going to be the same thing with the return of the Mashiach, where people are going to be looking, wow, if you were the Messiah, show us a sign. Then he just show you some amazing thing. You know, Tupac just come out and start rapping. You be like, oh, that's got to be him. That's got to be Christ, because he brought Tupac back. Then we believe that. But then you look, you like, where does it say that? If that's the case, it should be 144 more rappers that got killed with him. 144,000. But we have to be careful. And this is why Yahshua addressed that a wicked and adulterous nation looks for a sign. Adulterous means you are having a married woman sleeping with another man. So spiritually, we are the bride of the Mashiach. We are married unto Yahweh, and we are entertaining other spirits by not being obedient to Yah, by allowing these other evil angels to mislead us with just beautiful signs and beautiful things that look good. And they're already practicing. That's why you see these weird things happen in the sky, to fool you. But the very elect going to say, wait a minute, these ancient scriptures that's been here for well before I was even thought of is telling me these things need to happen. And all these things happen already. So that means this and this has to happen. If that hasn't happened, you're lying. And that's what this whole class is about. So we can get to the root of these things. So when these things happen, we can have faith in something and say, nah, you're lying. Go ahead.
Verse 23. But take you heed, behold, I have foretold you all things. But in those days after that tribulation, the sun shall be darkened and the moon shall not give her light.
All right, this is important. The worst thing that ever happened in the world has to happen first. Then the sun shall be darkened and the moon shall not give her light. So all these things have to happen around the same time. Just because we had an eclipse the other day for it wasn't even 2 seconds. I missed it. It was how quick it was. That don't mean it's the end of the world. It doesn't add up. It wasn't the worst time. If you still having happiness, enjoying your life, and you were free to do that, it ain't the worst time. Because we know just 50, 60 years ago was some pretty bad times for us as a people. Go back a couple hundred years ago, it was really bad for us. So we know this ain't the worst times right now.
Verse 25, and the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory.
So if somebody told you, read a Mashiach, come to my camp, come to my church. Christ is the head pastor in my church. When they tell you that, you know they lying, because at the end of the day, it says the stars of the heaven shall fall and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken, and the sun shall be darkened and the moon shall not give her light. That's a large order of things that has to happen first. The sixth seal. The angels have to be casted out. The third that left their state have to be casted out first. So when somebody tells you I'm the Mashiach, then why is the sun still out? Where's the moon? Where was these great signs? Where's the adversary, the devil? Because the adversary, the devil, has to be casted out first. Go ahead.
Verse 27. And then shall he send his angels and shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the uttermost part of the earth to the uttermost part of heaven. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When her branch is yet tender and puts forth leaves, you know that summer is near. So you in like manner, when you shall see these things come to pass, know that it is near, even at the doors. Verily I say unto you that this generation shall not pass till all these things be done. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. But of that day and that hour knows no man, no, not the angels which are in heaven, neither the Son, but the Father.
All right, so it says no man knows, not even the angels, not even the Son of Man, not even the Mashiach knows when this is going to happen. So your Facebook friend doesn't know when this is going to happen. He definitely doesn't know when this is going to happen, because if the Mashiach don't even know, he got to check his, I'm old school. He got to check his pager and be like, yeah, 911. Okay, I got to go. He don't even know. So I promise you, your elder, your Facebook preacher, or whoever it is, does not know the day or the hour.
Verse 33, take heed and watch and pray, for you know not when the time is. For the Son of Man is as a man taking a far journey, who left his house and gave authority to his servants and to every man his work, and commanded the porter to watch. Watch you, therefore, for you know not when the master of the house comes, at even, or at midnight, or at the cock crowing, or in the morning, lest coming suddenly he find you sleeping. And what I say unto you, I say unto all, watch.
All right, and notice Mashiach is also giving you the order of a day in verse 35. Even, midnight, when does the cock crow? in the morning. So the Mashiach is giving you coded answers, also how the day operates. All right, let's go to Isaiah chapter 13, and we're going to look at this sky being darkened. Yeshayah chapter 13. So, me personally, you know, like I started the class off, I'm not a prophecy expert. But what I do know and understand is the basic prophecies concerning the major events. And that's what we need to know. The basics. If you'd like to go a little deeper into prophecy, you know, most definitely do that. But at the end of the day, you know, your knowledge of prophecy is not going to be the test whether you get into the kingdom. Your knowledge of prophecy shouldn't affect your righteousness. You should be, you know, watching, therefore, and waiting like it's going to happen tomorrow and constantly working on improving yourself. Isaiah, Yeshayah, chapter 13.
In verse 1. The burden of Babylon, which Yeshayah the son of Amos did see. Lift you up a banner upon the high mountain. Exalt the voice unto them. Shake the hand, that they may go into the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my sanctified ones. I have also called my mighty ones for my anger, even them that rejoice in my highness. The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. Yahweh of hosts musters the host of the battle. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even Yahweh, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Howl you, for the day of Yahweh is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. And they shall be afraid. Pangs of sorrows shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travails. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Behold, the day of Yahweh comes, cruel, both wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate. And he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine.
Okay, so you see, Yahshua he said, I came in the volume of the book. So when he's giving the prophecies, he's not just making something up. He's talking about what was already written. Go ahead.
And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible.
All right, so when he's talking about punishing the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity, you cannot have iniquity, which is lawlessness, without a law. So there has to be a law for you to be wicked and have iniquity. And it says, I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and the proud believe I'm good. I can do what I want to do because I'm just a good person. I know that I'm a good person. I don't need to keep commandments. I don't need to do the things that caused my forefathers to not be able to inherit the kingdom because they refused to do that. That's proudness. That's a haughtiness. Go ahead.
I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir.
And this is what the elder was talking about on the Sabbath day. You know, I will make a man more precious than fine gold. That doesn't mean, you know, men just going to be so great that we're just going to, you know, oh, they're just so valuable because he's just a handsome guy. No, that's not what that means. It's going to be precious because it's hard to find, especially a man of Yahweh that can serve as a suitable covering amongst these times where the stars is falling and the sky is black and the moon is not giving her light. You're going to want a priest. You're going to want somebody that say, well, what should we do? Where should we go? You know, this guy's saying go here. This guy's saying go here. This person said he Christ and we need help. Where do we go? A man of Yahweh is going to say, wait a minute. First of all, it's the Sabbath day. We ain't going nowhere right now. Or the man of Yahweh is going to say, hey, you know what? We definitely not going to eat this. Y'all going to provide us food later. A man of Yahweh is going to say that ain't Christ. Because if he Christ, we're the adversary of the devil. Go ahead.
Verse 13, therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place in the wrath of Yahweh of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger. And it shall be as the chased roe, and as a sheep that no man takes up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee every one into his own land.
So where you going? Descendants of slaves? Wakanda? Where you going? Where you gonna go? Yeah, let me get a ticket. Where you going, brother? Yeah, I'm going to Africa. Where? You going to the land, like I said, you going to the land of black? Black land? Negro land? You going to Niger? Let me take me to nigger. You know what I'm saying? Niger, whatever you want to call it. If you look it up, it's actually Niger. But anyways, where we going to go? All these people, they say, oh, I know where I'm going. The Jewish people, oh, I'm going to Russia, Poland. I'm going to all them places. We the ones that don't know where we're going. Go ahead.
Verse 15, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver. And as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when Elohim overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there.
And modern day Babylon is Iran or Iraq? Which one is it?
I want to say Iran, the one that's most left, the one most west.
Right. So it would be what, Iran?
Yeah, I think Iraq is more to the east.
Okay.
Where are we? Verse 21. But the beast of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there.
So it's like when you see those movies and you see like an old abandoned town and everything is just destroyed, and you just see branches and a crow sitting up there, and animals like I Am Legend, animals running around and all that type of stuff. This is what Babylon is going to look like. And you have a physical Babylon, and then you have a ecclesiastical Babylon. And then you have just the spirit of Babylon, which is confusion. Any nation of confusion. And when you look at America, America's straight confusion. To the point where you got an individual that got a birth certificate saying what they are, and they standing in front of a door that says ladies and men, and they don't know where to go. To the point where they got to create a new door for them. That's confusion.
Verse 22, and the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant places. And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged.
All right. Let's go to Revelation chapter 6. And this we talked again about that sixth seal. Revelation chapter 6.
Revelation chapter 6 and verse 1. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see you hurt not the oil and the wine. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, Come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and the grave followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of Elohim, and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Yahweh, holy and true? Do you not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? And white robes were given unto every one of them. And it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled.
All right, so this is the first one they're talking about is the false Mashiach. And then the second one is supposed to be the wars. Then the third is the great famine that comes. And then the fourth is the death. You know, it was too beautiful for my mind. It was a very scary thing to think that, you know, you could do everything right and learn and become a very valuable person in spirit just to be killed, just to be brought back a new creature with a special task of going everywhere with the Messiah. And you see how the Messiah looking. He bloody. So what you think you doing? You think he just doing all the killing? This is soldiers. Go ahead.
Verse 12. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood.
All right, so again, this is what people look at. Oh, you know, it was a blood red moon. This is the sixth seal. You had to have all these things happen first. We're still waiting on the sixth seal, and this is what we want to focus on because we've gone through these things here. We've had all these things happen in the earth, and now we are waiting on this sixth seal to happen. So we want to pay close attention to these events that have to happen, letting us know that this sixth seal is opening it up. Go ahead. Start there at verse 12 again.
And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. And every mountain and island were moved out of their places, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every freeman, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said unto the mountains and rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For great is the day of his wrath, for the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?
All right, so with this sixth seal opening up, we are looking for a huge earthquake, something like we've never had before, to the point where, you know, it's causing so much that the sun became black as sackcloth. So I've heard different ideas of that. So what's some of the ideas you've heard as far as the prophecy of the sun being black as sackcloth, the cause of that?
Yeah, some say, you know, because it's going to be war, so it's going to be the smoke that's going to black out the sun and black out the moon.
Some say that it's going to be war, you know, explosions and, you know, fallout that can black out the sky and the moon. And then there's other theories that, you know, if you have super volcanoes and a super volcano goes off, there'll be so much ash and smoke in the air that it will block out the sun. So that's another theory that somebody has. Well, imagine if they hit a super volcano with a nuclear weapon, what kind of damage that could do. So either way, however it happens, is going to happen. So if somebody coming here talking about I'm Christ, this, that, when the sun became black as sackcloth, it had a blood red moon, not the little red moon we see up there, look like some, you know, some very watered down wine. No, like blood red, like the color of your blood. We haven't seen that before. And we've seen some pretty red moons. Go ahead.
That ends chapter 6.
All right. So we definitely want to look at, and the stars are falling. If you telling me you Christ, then why I see stars in the sky? Why are there still stars in the sky? Somebody not adding, somebody's lying. So if you go to a congregation that your leader is Christ, you're not following this book. All right, let's go to Revelation chapter 12. And the thing is, you can only get away with those things when you don't read. Because we've heard little bits and pieces of things like, yeah, you know, there's supposed to be a blood red moon. And then somebody just come up and say, oh, Christ is here. Look, there's the blood red moon. If you don't read your book, you'll be like, I did hear that. I remember hearing that. And you'll be fooled.
It's the same as being in the church.
Right.
You know, they take like snippets of like scriptures and you thinking that's what they say. And
right.
If you go back and actually read, you'll see that, you know, it may be in a different context or whatever. So it's kind of like the same concept.
Exactly. So imagine this. If somebody say, listen, I got a check for $10 million. It's written out in your name. And you got to go over there to 13th Street, make a right, hit Peachtree, and then go in this garage and get it. You have a choice to say, hey, Jonathan, how do I get there? Mm-hmm. Or let me see the paper myself. Let me see. No, see, this West Peachtree. See, you was about to lose my millions. You'll make sure that you read every fine print. You want to, you know, I'm not messing this millions of dollars. You'll read that. So if you cared about your salvation and the future, or especially heads, if you care about your family or being a covering, then you want to educate yourself about what's written. This could all be completely wrong. We don't know. We got to trust something. But what are you going to trust? Somebody that's telling you something based off what is actually written, that's not even true according to what's written? Or do you want to trust what's written and put your faith in that? Something you can read for yourself.
And the word is such an awesome foundation.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people will take a piece from it and add their own thing to
right.
it. And what I see, well, what I feel like I know is a lot of people take out accountability. So it's good to
mm-hmm.
latch onto that type of doctrine when you don't have
right.
accountability. So
right.
it's like, that sounds good, let's do it. So
right.
when you start reading, you start finding out, like, you know, some accountability attached. Then you have to make the decision.
Exactly. But see, when your doctrine has accountability in it, your assembly's kind of empty, because everybody ain't trying to have no accountability.
You change your life. Like if you're dealing with religion, you can just go on, like, for example, Sunday. You can just go, and when you go home, you can live your life like how you lived before
mm-hmm.
you went. When you're dealing with accountability and reading the book for what it is, you got to change your life.
Right, right. And when you dealing with this book, you can't just change your life around the assembly and then go home and live another life. Right. That ain't gonna cut it. And the Most High gonna make sure that everybody knows that ain't cutting it, because he's gonna make an example out of you for your own good and for the good of your people, especially if you're a leader. All right, we're in Revelation chapter 12. And again, the 6 seals being opened, and now you're seeing the angels being casted out and the adversary himself being casted out.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pained to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born.
All right. So when it's talking about this great wonder in heaven, this woman that they're prophesying about here is supposed to be the children, is supposed to be the nation of Yasharal, because remember, we are married unto Yah. And this child to be born is the Mashiach, the firstborn spirit, the same person that's born over and over through us when we get immersed and change our lives and become a new creature in the Mashiach. Go ahead. And the red dragon is supposed to be Satan. Go ahead.
Verse 5, and she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto Elohim and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared of Elohim, that they should feed her there 1,260 days.
All right, so this is the wilderness journey. The wilderness is not, when we think wilderness, we think like, the Ozarks, big pine trees and, a bunch of, trees everywhere. The wilderness is a desert. desert. So this is talking about the woman, which is the children of Yasharal, fleeing to the desert because ain't nobody trying to come out to the desert to look for us, in a place prepared for us. And it says there we should be there 1,203 days, which is 3.5 years. So that means when we flee to be cleansed so that we can enter back into the land, we have 3.5 years to cleanse ourselves to be able to enter into the land. And when you think about it, with how we live here, as healthy as we want to eat and live here, at the end of the day, the air we breathe is poison. The food we eat, the water is messed up, everything. So it's going to take time for our vessels to be cleansed out. And the only way to cleanse that out is to remove yourself from that environment and fast. And when you're in a desert place, you're not eating good like that. So your body is naturally fasting, getting rid of a lot of these things. And it gives also opportunity for the rebels to be purged out. The people that do not want to walk according to this word.
Verse 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven.
Now we know that hasn't happened yet either, because we read in Job how even the adversary, the devil, shows up for appearances. Job chapter 1 and Job chapter 2. Y'all not coming down here on earth to his footstool to have an appearance for the angels. They up in heaven. And the adversary's still going. He said, where you been? To and fro in the earth. So he's still coming up and down the earth and still going to make his appearances with Yah.
Verse 8. And prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceives the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
All right. Now it talks about he deceived the whole world. So does that mean that everybody in the world is being deceived? That's what it kind of looked like. Well, what are you part of? Are you part of the body, or are you part of the world? Go ahead.
Verse 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our Elohim and the power of Messiah. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our Elohim day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. Therefore rejoice, you heavens, and you that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knows that he has but a short time.
And we're going to go over that short time when we get into Revelation chapter 20.
And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time, a times, and a half time, from the face of the serpent.
3.5 years.
And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth.
All right, so again, the prophecies are saying that we are going to return. The same ships of Tarshish that brought us over here, which is very interesting. Tarshish is Spain. And what was the ships that brought us here? Spanish ships. The good ship Jesus and the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria and all. These are Spanish ships. So the same ships of Tarshish is supposed to bring us back. So while we're taking this water journey back to Jerusalem to get to the wilderness, the adversary, the devil, trying to drown us. But the earth is going to help us and open up his mouth, almost like a whirlpool, and swallow up all the water so that we can safely reach back into our land.
Verse 17, and the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Yahweh, and have the testimony of Yahshua Mashiach.
All right, so now you know who's coming for who. Yahshua coming back with the 144. He's coming to deal with the children of Yasharal that not keeping the commandments. The adversary, the devil, he's coming trying to kill, in verse 17, the remnant of her seed, which is us. We the remnant of the seed. But the remnant which keep the commandments of Elohim, that's who the adversary, the devil, is trying to kill. So when we see people getting killed in the great tribulation, we say, oh, you know, oh, Satan did that and killed that person. Nah, that ain't always the adversary, the devil. Yahweh coming to judge his people too. He said it begins at the house of Elohim first.
All right, that concludes chapter 12.
All right. Let's go to Revelation 13. Let's go to the next one.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat, and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wandered after the beast.
All right, so if you want to know an interpretation of this prophecy here, it's all over the internet, or you can Google it. It'll give you the different nations that they see. This nation is that nation, and the last one is supposed to be the Roman Empire. And the fall of Rome, the Roman Empire fell, and with this New World Order thing and the elite Rothschilds and all those so-called names that they give us to know them by, are supposed to be the wounded healing again and trying to bring back this Holy Roman Empire that they're trying to bring back. Go ahead.
Verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?
All right, so the dragon is supposed to be the adversary, the devil, which gave power to a man who was supposed to be, you know, like the Antichrist. Well, the Antichrist is a spirit, by the way, but supposed to be the leader of going against this word. And what the people do? We worshipped this so-called Antichrist or anti-Messiah. And how you worship is when you bow down to it. We worship it when we bow down to that Christmas tree and spend money for Christmas and Easter and have our children out there doing fertility god rituals and all. This is how we worshiping the beast. Because the dragon, the adversary, the devil, gave power to this vehicle to control this earth, to control the masses, to do a certain thing. And we have to fight against that to the point where many of us have to pull our children out of school during these times just to avoid them taking part in these pagan practices.
Verse 5. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against Yahweh, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations.
All right. And this is what's happening. This is why all the nations are all against the children of Yasharal. Don't get it twisted. It's not necessarily a nation thing. It's a commandment keepers thing versus a non-commandment keepers thing. The commandment keepers that are trying to keep it in spirit and truth are being led of a different spirit. The people that are of this world, it's easy to sway them. All you have to do is sway their emotion and they're going to fall right in.
Verse 7?
Mm-hmm. And what's one of the easiest emotions to get somebody to fall into something? Two of them I know, two real easy emotions. Fear. What's the other one? And anger. All you got to do is get somebody afraid. And usually when I'm afraid, I get angry. That's a telltale tale about me. If somebody's making me afraid, I get more aggressive and angry. That's my defense mechanism, like an animal. You know, so all you got to do is drum up fear. If you want to drum up fear, cut the TV on. It's fear all day. They might as well call it Fear Channel. And anger. You get angry when you're hungry. You get angry when your children crying. You get angry when things not working out. You get angry when somebody does something you don't like. And that's all you got to do to throw away your emotions. And to throw away your sense of keeping in the spirit, to pull you out of the spirit.
Verse 7, and it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear.
And keep in mind, he says, of all kindreds, tongues, and nations. So it ain't going to be just the other nations misleading you too. You're going to have your own people speaking in your own tongue misleading you. That's why you have to trust your own Bible and read it for yourself. Go ahead.
Verse 9, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He that kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience of the saints.
Okay. Does anybody have a New International Version Bible? You got it? It's interesting how they play games with this book. Verse 10. Revelation 13 and verse 10. If you could read it out loud. Hopefully they can hear it.
The NIV version?
Yes.
It says, if anyone is to go into captivity, they will go. If anyone is to be killed with the sword they will be killed. This calls for patient endurance and faithfulness on the part of God's people.
What? How do you get that? He that leads into captivity shall go into captivity.
Easy, simple.
Again, let's take away the accountability for what your nations have done. This is why I use the King James Version. King James got its own problems too. Don't get me wrong. It got its problems too. But at the end of the day, at least I can get into the Strong's Concordance and be like, ah, nice one. Oh, you put new moon. But it's the Hebrew word is Hodesh, which is new month. Oh, interesting. At least I can fact check that. New International Version will have you all over the place. You don't even know what to fact check. Yeah, he that falls is gonna fall. We know that he fell. What kind of prophecy is that? Go ahead.
Verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he does great wonders, so that he makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceives them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live.
And what's interesting, when you're talking about to make a fire come down from heaven on the earth, well, they have those planes, those drones now, they go way high up in the sky. And they're talking about, if you look at those videos about these wildfires, when you look at these wildfires burning, you looked at some of these cars just being torched, like what kind of heat did it take to burn a car all the way down to the tires burn? Like, I mean, I've seen tires burn, create a lot of smoke, but it takes some time. It's almost like when the, what was it, 85 that collapsed or whatever?
Sure, yeah.
Like, how hot did it have to be to melt concrete? Just like 9/11, how hot jet fuel burns, don't quote me at the temperature, say it burns at 300 degrees. You telling me it burned at 300 degrees, but it caused steel that burns at 1,000 degrees to melt? It don't add up. So they showed videos of those drones. They can go way up there and shoot them lasers. You can look at they don't hide it. We brag and boast about our technology so we can let the other nations know we on top. They can burn stuff up with lasers from the sky from miles and miles up in the sky. So when you standing here, a plane way further above clouds that you can see, and all of a sudden it shoot a beam down and burn something, that's enough for a lot of people to be like, yeah, he must be God. He burned up them Israelites for saying keep the commandments. People gonna be fooled.
Revelation chapter 13 and verse 14. And deceives them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live.
So if you read this book at all, just some of it, and know anything about the Most High, you know for a fact Yahweh not coming down here and saying, make an image of this thing for me. You know what? That brother Yadon, he a real good brother. He did some solid teaching. Make an image of him. Or this leader, this president is the one who's fed the world and got black people to go into white schools. Martin Luther King, make a statue of him like Pharaoh's statue. You know Yahweh is never going to say, he's not going to come down and say, make a statue of me. So if you're being fooled by that, you don't know the Shem of the Most High. You never knew him.
Verse 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
That's not hard. They got Tupac concerts now. You see a little image, Michael Jackson. It ain't no hard to make the image alive. They just that's what they showing you. Imagine what they not showing you.
Verse 16, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast.
Carnal understanding of something and then a spiritual understanding. When you have something in your hand, that's what you touch. What you touch is going to be influenced by the devil. What you do with your hands, your deeds. And in your forehead, what's in your mind, your thought process, how you think about things, how you talk to people, how you treat people, where you place the most high and level of importance in your mind. A lot of these things can be the 666 you're talking about. And if you even look at the 666, that's like even carbon, the breakdown of carbon. All right, let's move on. Let's go to Matthew chapter 24, Matthew chapter 24, and get a little bit more of this great tribulation. Because a lot of people are being taught that, you know, especially in these Christian churches, that if you good with God, you're going to be raptured up and you're going to miss the great tribulation. You ain't going to have to endure nothing. You just going to be up there sipping martini with sweet Jesus, while everybody else is just getting hurt. Yeah, sweet Jesus. You know sweet Jesus. Everything all right with him. Matthew chapter 24. And, you know, we go over these things and we know that the Greeks have touched a lot of these writings. And, you know, we like, you know, Hebrew as a second language learners and stuff, where we don't really fully understand these languages and stuff, but at least understand the order of things, so that you can at least not be they pulling the wool over your eyes on some basic stuff that you should know to be able to debunk that. Even if you ask the person that's trying to fool you, well, why does it say this? That at least you putting them on the spot where if they don't even know what it says, then you know they off point.
Matthew chapter 24 and verse 1. And Yahshua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Yahshua said unto them, see you not all these things? Verily, I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of your coming and of the end of the world?
Let's jump to verse 21. We read a lot of these already. Matthew 24, and let's go to verse 21.
For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world.
Oh, I'm sorry. Start at verse 19.
And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray you that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day.
And that's what I was talking about earlier. This is for people reading that their Bibles aren't in red. This is red writing. So red writing lets you know this is the Messiah's speech here. And he's telling you, pray that your flight be not in the winter. That's obvious. You don't want to be having to flee in the winter. It's cold outside. It's dangerous. And then it says, neither on the Sabbath day. Why would he mention the Sabbath day if nobody keeps the Sabbath? It doesn't matter. It'll be any day. It's going to be bad any day. The sixth seal and having a flea is going to be bad any day of the week. But what could be the worst possible day for believers to have to flee? The Sabbath day.
Verse 21. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world, to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is the Mashiach, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Mashiachs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect.
Again, are you looking for some great spectacle to happen, or are you looking for the instructions of the Most High prophecy to be fulfilled so he can get his glory? Because when you're waiting for his prophecy to be fulfilled as it is written, Yah gets glory because he said it and it was done. Go ahead.
Verse 26, verse 25, behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not.
And he said, Behold, I have told you before. He didn't tell you nothing if you didn't read this book. If you ain't go in here, you ain't care enough to get his instructions. He didn't tell you nothing before.
Verse 27, For as the lightning comes out of the east and shines even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
So you gonna know. We not gonna be confused. He ain't finna sneak up on us and be like, oh, there he is. From the east to the west, everybody gonna see the Son of Man come. So how you gonna sneak up into the middle of the park and walk up and say, hey, I'm Mashiach? Where was how nobody knew about this? How this wasn't on CNN? Because even they would have faked it at least and said, yeah, we was right here when Christ came. We were going to interview this crisis actor. Here, yeah, I saw him, man. He was, he was a black dude with locks, and he was mad. He wasn't that handsome, though. Come on now. Go ahead.
Verse 28, For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. And the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken.
All right. So again, immediately after the tribulation, we haven't had the tribulation. We haven't had the time that's been worse than was ever recorded. We haven't had that time. So immediately after that, which means you gonna have to survive that. If you survive that, then the stars are gonna fall, and the moon shall not give her light. And the powers of heaven shall be shaken, in the heaven rolling up like a scroll. All this stuff has to happen after the tribulation. Go ahead.
Verse 30, And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great shout of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other.
So, I don't understand. How can you go in here when he's talking about collecting his people after the great tribulation, after the sun has been dark? How can you look at one verse in Colossians that's mistranslated, by the way, talking about, well, we're going to be gathered up in the clouds. Well, if you read the rest of the book, you also know you're going to flee to a mountain. And when you're in the mountain, you're amongst clouds. But we got to read that. So this is why you can't take just one verse and just say this is how things are going to be. We read the same thing like 3 or 4 times to the point I had to skip over some things because it said it that many times. And we didn't just read it in the New Testament. We read it in the Old Testament. Go ahead.
Verse 32. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and puts forth leaves, you know that summer is near. So likewise you, when you shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. But of that day and hour knows no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only.
All right, so again, he's letting you know, just in case you missed it in the previous chapter, you got another witness. Listen, you don't know. You're not going to know. That means you're going to have to use whatever time you have to get right with the Most High. Could be tomorrow, could be later today, could be 100 years from now. You don't know.
Verse we
37.
But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken and the other left. Watch therefore, for you know not what hour your master does come.
So he's telling you twice in the same chapter, letting you know, listen, stop listening to these people. You don't know when this is going to happen. That means you need to be ready right now. And again, two shall be in a field, one shall be taken, the other left. Two women shall be grinding in the mill, one shall be taken and the other one left. So again, the rapture people, the rapture people like, look, hey, I'll let y'all, I'm out. I'm me and sweet baby Jesus, we chilling. I'm out.
No accountability.
Nah, buddy. It don't work that way. If you being taken, that means you being dealt with. The judgment comes first. So you see somebody floating up, you might want to grab him back and, hey, you don't want to go there. Because that's not the good place where you're going. You're going to get dealt with.
Verse 42. Watch therefore, for you know not what hour your master does come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be you also ready, for in such an hour as you think not, the Son of Man comes. Who then is a faithful and wise servant whom his master has made rule over his household, to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his master, when he comes, shall find so doing.
Now, if anybody has ever worked, in a position of management or an owner or whatever, and when you have computers and your people are working for you and you come walking and, when you walk, people know the sound of your steps and how you sound coming through, and you walk up on somebody and you see, can you stop that, brother? And you walk up and you see changing that screen and everything like that, and all of a sudden they typing in the TPS. Oh, bro, stop it, man. You can still see the tab of Facebook on it. This is how people do. But when you working, it's like when Al walked by. We didn't know Al was walking by. He ain't got nothing to do with us. But he walked by and looked at it and said, man, that sounds like money in there. Because everybody in there working. When you working to do good work and you care about your work or you're busy, ain't nobody finna sneak up on you. You finna be working. So this is how the Mashiach is telling us that we need to be in this walk. That if he came today or if he came tomorrow, he came 10 years from now, we doing the same thing, working towards repentance, enduring this life.
You're not going to come on Sunday while y'all in church, or whatever, wherever
Right.
you're gathering in the rest of the week, that's when you're going to come.
He'd catch you on a Tuesday and we'd be saved by Bible study. We'd be like, oh man, we didn't think he was going to come on $2 Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? Man, thank goodness I was at Bible study that day. I just happened to be in town. Who knows? Catch you off guard.
Be great if you come to the atonement.
Right?
Verse 47. Verily I say unto you that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. And if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my master delays in his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink and with the drunken, the master of that servant shall come in a day when he looks not for him, and in an hour that he is not aware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
And when you see weeping and gnashing of teeth, that's the description of the lake of fire. Let's go to Revelation chapter 14, and we did with the 144. Every time we get into 144, man, that thing, it's just frightening to me. People like to teach that and understand that. And at one point, I was really digging into it, and it got so deep that I considered, what if I was the 144? And I shut down right there. I said, I don't even want to go there. I don't want You know, Yah's will be done, but I don't want that revelation. It sound good. Everybody want to be part of the 144, but you don't realize that, yeah, where your family at? You different. You the first fruits of them that slept with Yahshua. That's a whole different calling. Your job is to go around with him and slay your own people. That's you neither man nor woman. You can't even go kiss your wife. You a whole different body. That ain't no joke. These people, think about these people that have been no guile in their mouth. They have lived in righteousness. They did everything. They ready to die for the Mashiach, and with belief that Yah is going to protect them, then they just die. Can you imagine that last few seconds before you die, not believing that, Yah, you mean really? I thought I would make it. That's terrifying. Revelation chapter 14.
And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. And they sung as it were a new song before the throne, and before the four beasts, and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000. Which were redeemed from the earth.
All right, so they were redeemed from the earth. They weren't, 144,000 people in heaven that came down. They were redeemed from the earth.
These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb wheresoever he goes. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto Elohim and to the Lamb. And
I've heard some carnal debates about, these are all men. They can't be women because it said they're virgins and they're this, that, and the other, and they haven't been defiled with women. Well, understand, women is also a doctrine. They weren't defiled with these other doctrines. That's adultery when you take in those doctrines. And furthermore, when you read about the new bodies, when you get that new body and you change, you not male or female. You like the angels that don't marry them or given in marriage. So when you're dealing with heavenly things, you're not dealing with a male or female. You're dealing with the supreme and everything else. Go ahead.
Verse 5, and in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of Elohim. And I saw another angel fly into the midst of heaven, having the everlasting good news to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear Elohim and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of waters. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all the nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark on his forehead or on his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Elohim, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascends up forever and ever. And they have no rest day or night who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receives the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yahweh and the faith of Yahshua.
All right, the patience with the endurance. Here, the endurance of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Elohim and the faith of Yahshua. Those are the saints. The saints aren't the people that the Catholic Church decided, I know you killed a bunch of people, but I'm going to give you a holiday in your name and call you a saint. No. The saints are Israelites that keep the commandments of Elohim and have the faith of Yah is salvation, Yahshua.
Verse 13. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Write, blessed are the dead which die in the spirit from henceforth. Yea, says the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud sat one like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, Thrust in your sickle and reap, for the time is come for you to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle.
All right. Anybody know anything about farming? When you reap the harvest and you throwing that sickle, what's coming up first? What's being rooted up first? The wheat or the tare? The tare is being rooted up first because they sticking straight up in the air. The wheat got fruits, so it's bending over from all the fruit that it's bearing. So when he's striking that sickle, he's getting all the haughty and proud people. Well, I refuse to bow down and humble myself to the Most High. That's what's coming first. That's going back to that one person taking up, the other one left.
Verse 18. And another angel came out from the altar which had power over the fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, Thrust in your sharp sickle and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. And the angel thrust his sickle into the earth and gathered the vine of the earth and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of Elohim. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse bridle, by the space of 1,600 furlongs.
Wow. So, again, it's so much bloodshed from, so you know, don't mistake what grapes mean here. This is blood of man. When he comes to reap the harvest and he's striking with his sickle to gather up all the tares, there's going to be so much bloodshed that the blood is going to go all the way up to the bridle, which is the mouth of the horse. So when a horse stands up and he's up, it's going to be that much bloodshed. And then it's talking about a space of 1,600 furlongs. I don't know how long that is, but that sounds like a lot. That's a lot. I can't quote you on that, but that's a lot. Let's go to Revelation chapter 20. Now, this right here, this is the one chapter that's like the haymaker. That if you want to understand the prophecies of the end times, at least understand Revelation 20. And this is why the church stay away from Revelations. They stay away from the book of Revelation because it's just totally destroying their whole doctrine. So all that heaven stuff and all that is just gone.
Even the last verse that you was talking about, about the saints and keeping the commandments, it's like in Revelation at the end of the book. So where, and before that, did you just like, we don't have to keep them no more? They still talking about the same thing.
Right. Right. The whole book talking about, and this is who's going to be outside the kingdom. Transgression of this commandment, that commandment, that commandment. These are commandments you transgressing. You have something, sister?
I was just saying, 200 miles.
Who said that? It's 200 miles? So from the horse's bridle all the way up for 200 miles for a furlong. This is thousands of furlongs? That's a lot of blood. Like I said, quote me on that. That's a lot. That's a lot of bloodshed. You ain't gonna be able to go to the blood bank and get some blood for that. It's a lake of blood, basically.
And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years.
All right. So if the dragon, and they let you know the old serpent, so that's, when we read earlier about the dragon and the beast, the dragon is Satan, the adversary, the devil. So he's going to be bound and put away for 1,000 years. This has never happened. This is again how you know that this hasn't happened yet. When in history, in any book or anybody, storybook, anything, have you seen 1,000 years of peace? I've never seen it in this history book, much less anybody's history book. There's always been fighting. If there is a murderer in the other room over there, I can't sleep comfortably. I can't sleep comfortably if there's a murderer next to me or living next door to me. That's why you got watchdogs. You see there's a sexual predator live down. I can't sleep comfortably. Every parent gonna think sexual predator gonna catch your child waiting at the bus stop or whatever. So we have never had 1,000 years of peace. When have you seen all the nations of the earth just get along for a year? It's never happened. So you know that this has not happened. So if this has not happened, the Messiah could not have been here.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 3. And cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him, that he should not deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season.
All right. So again, that goes back to what he said. He knows he has but a little bit of time. So here you see where he's locked away for 1,000 years and can't deceive the nations anymore. So that's the sabbatical kingdom. So in that sabbatical kingdom, the adversary, the devil, ain't fooling you. So if you are like the prophecy in Isaiah where it says that a child shall die at 100 years old, that means you would consider a child if you died 100, because you should be living for 1,000 years, because the devil ain't here to deceive you. That means it was in your heart. That was you. You had a chance. So you saw how long Yasharal took to get it right. So he can't expect the nations to get everything right all of a sudden. So he gave them 1,000 years where you got the Israelites and Yahshua ruling for 1,000 years. So if you have peace in this earth and you got the Messiah here and all the patriarchs and all the great prophets and people of our nation that we read about here showing us the way, and priests to do animal sacrifices, and you still die at 100 years, that means you were just wicked in your heart. You had a chance. You had what we never had. We never had that.
Verse 4. And I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahshua, and for the word of Yahweh, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither had his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Mashiach 1,000 years.
Now, when did we see Christ and all these people that we read about that died and were beheaded for this word? And when it says beheaded for Christ, beheaded for the Mashiach, replace that with the word in flesh, beheaded for this word. Where are all these people that were beheaded for the word reincarnated and walking around with the Messiah for 1,000 years? I didn't read about that. That didn't happen in King David's time or Moses' time or anything. That ain't happened yet. So again, if somebody tell you, look, there's Christ. Well, where's those people that were rose up from the dead? And why we don't have 1,000 years of peace? So that's why with this one chapter here, you can debunk anybody coming here trying to tell you they the Messiah. Where the 1,000 years of peace? We don't even got peace in downtown with gangs. So we definitely don't have world peace. So this is how you can stop people from coming. I'm telling you again, the leader of your assembly is not Christ. It hasn't happened. Go ahead.
Verse 5. But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection.
All right. So you have the first resurrection and a second resurrection. So the first resurrection, sad to say, it ain't everybody. So I know Big Mama might have been very nice and been cooked some very nice meals and been nice to you, but this is the first resurrection. These are the people that were beheaded, that were removed from the body, whether spiritually or physically, head removed from the body for Yah is salvation, for this word. That's a special group of people. Go ahead.
Verse 6. Blessed and holy is he that has part in the first resurrection. On such the second death has no power, but they shall be the priests of Elohim and of Mashiach, and shall reign with him 1,000 years.
All right, so it says blessed and holy and Kodesh is he that has part in the first resurrection. On such the second death have no power. So there's a second death. So if you understand there's a second death, then you know you living for that second death. You try to worry about that second death. That first death is, okay, yeah, but then there's a second death that you don't want. So that means Drake lied. It ain't YOLO. You live more than once. Go ahead.
Verse 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about. And the beloved city, and fire came down from Yahweh out of heaven and devoured them. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever.
All right. So again, you have first the sixth seal, the adversaries casted out. You got this great tribulation. Everybody goes through the great tribulation that's still on this earth. If you survive that and you are still alive, then you have that a 1,000 years of peace with the Messiah returning after the devil is put away. The devil got to come first. That's why they say, oh, he's the Messiah. He's the bride of the Lamb. Oh, he's the Lamb. Then you ask, where the adversary of the devil then? Because how you here and the adversary of the devil ain't got here yet? Did you put him away for 1,000 years? It don't add up. So just simple events to let you know. And then when he does come, if you say you are the Messiah, where are the people resurrected from the dead? Where are those people at? So you have those people raised up for 1,000 years. We got 1,000 years of peace on the earth because there is no adversary of the devil. And the wicked people were purged out in the great tribulation. So you have peace, somewhat peace. And everybody else who can assimilate to a world of peace is going to die in that 1,000 years. Now, after that, after the 1,000 years, the devil is released out of the prison, the bottomless pit, and he has a little time to fool the nations. Because he has to fool the nations that after Christ then came back, everybody know Yahweh is on top. Everybody know there's 1,000 years of peace. The devil has been taken down. Everybody knows what's about to happen, that it was true. And yet the adversary is still able to fool you to come against the saints and against Yahweh and Yahshua, the kingdom. Whoa, that's got to be a hell of a deception. We can sit here and argue about whether this is real or not. But once it happens and you know it's real and you still fooled, that's just, and think about it, it ain't that difficult. Because how did we walk through water and have all these plagues and still doubt Yahweh? So obviously it ain't that difficult if what's in your heart ain't transformed.
Verse 7?
Nah, we're at verse 11.
Okay, cool. And I saw a great white throne and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before Elohim, and the books were open, and another book was open, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works.
All right, so again, I saw the dead, small and great, stand before Elohim, and the books were opened. So multiple books were opened, and then another book was opened. So you got the books. I guess I would say maybe the New Testament and the Old Testament. And then you got your life. And they're going to compare your book to say, wait a minute, these pages don't add up. That's like a bad version of something. If you checking for consistency, if you see something is inconsistent, it's supposed to be a copy of something, you get rid of that. Either you're going to fix it or get rid of it. Go ahead.
Verse 12, and I saw the dead, small and great, stand before Elohim, and the books were open. Verse 13, and the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and the grave delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged every man according to their works. And death and Hades were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire.
That is judgment day. So when people tell you, oh, it's about to be judged. No, it's not. We ain't had no 1,000 years of peace. How it going to be judgment day? Mashiach is not here. So how are you going to be judged? And when people tell you, oh, you die and you before the Father. No, it's not. We just told you. You got to have all these things and Mashiach got to return. And then everybody is going to get judged at the same time. If you weren't raised up in the first resurrection to go everywhere with the Messiah, then that means you're going to be in the second. You got to be in the second resurrection. Where if you get judged in that and you don't pass that cut, you go into the lake of fire. There ain't no more stops after that. So just with that one chapter, you can debunk nearly the entire Christian doctrine with that one chapter. All right, let's go to Revelation 21. We're going to go all the way through 22.
And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, Yohanan, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Elohim out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband.
So if New Jerusalem is coming down, then why would you be going up? He's coming down. The city is coming down. Why would we be going up? But I tell you who want to go up, what is it, Isaiah, what chapter is that? Isaiah 13? I will be like unto the Most High. I will be amongst the clouds. I will make my heaven in the clouds. I will be like the Most High. That's the adversary of the devil. Sound like Santa Claus flying in the sky. Know if you naughty or nice.
Verse 13, and I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of Elohim is with men, and he will dwell with them. And they shall be his people, and Yahweh himself shall be with them, and be their Elohim. And Elohim shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away.
All right, so when people, I had a question, well, when I go to the kingdom and everything is changed and the bodies are changed, will I still be married unto my husband or my wife? Well, it says that you're going to get those new bodies. So when you get those new bodies, you're neither male nor female. You're like priests almost. You're servants. So when you get those new bodies, you're not going to be missing your husband or your wife or whatever that's there. Them days is gone. Them times are over. You won't even have that emotion. It's just going to be love everywhere, regardless of whether that's your husband or wife or whatever. We're going to be living in the light of the Most High. So this is for why we here on this earth reproducing and doing all these different things.
Verse 6. Oh no, verse 5. And he that sat upon the throne said, behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said unto me, it is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely.
In other words, he's not going to have the flaming swords around the garden protecting the tree of life to stop us from living forever. Because wickedness is rooted out the earth. So what is it to him if you live forever?
Verse 7, he that overcomes shall inherit all things, and I will be his Elohim, and he shall be my son.
He that overcomes shall inherit all things. So if I overcome the tricks of the devil, I will inherit everything. So I shouldn't fall for the same okie doke that he tried to get Yahshua with. When he told him, hey, look here, all this belongs to me. I can give it to you. Just fall down and worship me. It's already mine. With him, he created it. So he's like, it's even worse for him. But for us, it's already ours. So why would I trade away what belongs to me just to give it away? It doesn't make any sense. To obtain something that I already have, I'm going to give it away and never get it back. Go ahead.
Verse 8, but the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death.
Second death is the lake of fire. That's what you don't want. That's end game. Go ahead.
And there came unto me one of the seven angels which had the 7 vials full of the 7 last plagues, and talked with me, saying, come here, I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from Elohim.
All right. So he's showing you the Lamb's wife, right? And it's showing you that his wife, New Jerusalem, is coming down from heaven. Then what would New Jerusalem be? Think about that.
People of Yasharal.
People of Yasharal. We are the bride of the Lamb. We are the city, New Jerusalem. We are that. We are Jerusalem. Jerusalem, the mother of us all. That's the assembly. So people are looking for some new castle to come out of the sky and come down and be like, this is New Jerusalem. Go ahead.
Verse 11. Having the glory of Elohim, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal, and had a high wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Yasharal.
So why would you have a name over a gate of 12 tribes?
Sound like for identification
Exactly.
purposes.
Exactly. They could have wrote all 12 tribes on every gate. But if you have a door, you walk in a room, there's a door, and there's names on every door, and you look and say, oh, there's me.
That's kind of like back to the simple women men bathroom.
Exactly. You're not going to run up in the woman's bathroom and be like, well, I think that I'm a girl today. You can get in trouble. Well, at least you used to get in trouble. I don't know about now.
Verse 13. On the east 3 gates, and on the north 3 gates, and on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. And he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city, and the gates thereof, and the wall thereof. And the city lies foursquare, and the length is as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with the reed 12,000 furlongs. The length and breadth and height of it are equal. And he measured the wall thereof 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man, that is, of the angel. And the building of the wall of it was of jasper, and the city was pure gold like unto clear glass. And the foundations of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth an emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprase, the 11th a hyacinth, the 12th an amethyst. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was of 1 pearl. And the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. And I saw no temple therein.
Say what? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 22. And I saw no temple therein, for Yahweh El Shaddai and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of Elohim did lighten it. And the Lamb is the light thereof, and the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth, do bring their glory and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it.
So, and the nations of them which are saved, the nations of them that are saved shall walk in the light of it. It don't say you gonna walk in it, the nations. It says in the light of it. And it says they will bring, the kings of the earth will bring their glory and honor into it. And it says the gates shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. So all of this is to return to how things were in the beginning. Remember, the sun and the moon weren't created until the 4th day, the sun and the stars. So what was lighting up everything before? The same light that was there in the beginning from John chapter 1 and verse 1, when it talks about the Lamb also being the light and the temple of it.
Verse 27. And there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defiles, neither whatsoever works an abomination or makes a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life.
All right, let's go to the conclusion. Revelation chapter 22.
And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of Elohim and the Lamb. In the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, there was a tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. And there shall be no more curse, but the throne of Elohim and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. And they shall see his face, and his name shall be in their foreheads. And there shall be no night there, and they need no candle, neither light of the sun, for Yahweh Elohim gives them light, and they shall reign forever and ever.
Because there's going to be so much spirit and so much word in you. Remember Moshe when he went to the mount and he spoke before Yahweh? When he came back, what happened to him? You remember?
Face glowed.
He was glowing. He was bright. He had to put a cover over his face. He was scaring folks. So This is how the people will be when we have so much holiness in us that we're going to light up the place. There's no darknesses in us anymore. We are lighting up the place. So the nations are living off the light of us, which is our word, the righteousness of the Mashiach that is now fully in us.
Verse 6, and he said unto me, these sayings are faithful and true. And the Elohim of the holy prophets sent his angel to show unto us his servants the things which must shortly be done. Behold, I come quickly. Blessed is he that keeps the saying of this prophecy of this book. And I, Yohanan, saw these things and heard them. And when I had heard and seen, I fell down to worship before the feet of the angel which showed me these things.
Again, blessed is he that keeps the sayings, keeps the commandments, and of the prophecy of this book. The people that are keeping. When you look at keep, what was the word for keep? To guard. What was the Hebrew word? Was it shamar, or was it zakar?
I think it was Shakar.
Shakar.
Zakar.
So to keep, which means we are
remember.
Right. Remember, observe, or mark. So we are keeping. We are looking out. We are watching for these prophecies to happen. We're not just looking up and seeing something and turning it into an idol because we see something beautiful happen in the sky. We say, well, I'm going to change everything that was said that was going to happen, and I'm going to make it be the end of the world because this is beautiful. The aurora borealis. No, you're not keeping these prophecies then.
Okay, it was Shamar.
Shamar.
Verse 8. And I, Yohanan, saw these things and heard them. And when I had heard and seen, I fell down to worship before the feet of the angel which showed me these things. Then says he unto me, see you do it not, for I am your fellow servant and of your brethren the prophets, and of them which keep the sayings of this book. Worship Elohim. And he said unto me, seal not the sayings of the prophecy of this book, for the time is at hand.
Okay, so there, when it talks about, they're seeing this person, some people thought it was an angel. Right? But it tells you that he says, I am of your brethren, the prophets, which keep the sayings of the book. Worship Elohim. And he's saying, don't worship me. He's letting them know, get up. I'm a servant just like you. Go ahead.
Verse 10. Verse 11. He that is unjust, let him be unjust still. And he which is filthy, let him be filthy still. And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is Kodesh, holy, let him be holy still. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs, and sorcerers, and whoremongers, and murderers, and idolaters, and whosoever loves and makes a lie.
So when you love and make a lie, when they tell you that the Sabbath day is Sunday and you just love to have it so, you love and you make the lie because you keeping the lie and you love to have it so. To the point where you celebrate and you getting dressed up, you having a good old time to profane y'all Sabbath day. And you profane the Sabbath day when you take any other day that's not commanded of Yah, and you make that the Sabbath day, the sign unto Yahweh that he is your God and you are his people. You can't do that in any other way other than the way that Yahweh says this is how you do that. That's like me signing the Batman sign up there and then getting mad because Superman ain't show up. Bro, you put the Batman sign up there.
Verse 16. I, Yahshua, have sent my angels to testify unto you these things in the assemblies. I am the root and the offspring of Dawid, and the bright and morning star. And the Spirit and the bride say, come. And let him that hears say, come. And let him that is athirst come. And whosoever will, let him take the water of life freely. For I testify unto every man that hears the words of the prophecy of this book, if any man shall add unto these things, Elohim shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. And if any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, Elohim shall take away his part out of the book of life, and out of the holy city, from which the things, and from things which are written in this book.
All right, so he's finishing up with the last warning to let you know. Anybody that add unto these things, Elohim shall add these plagues unto you. And if you remove, he remove you out the book of life. So when you, just like we did New International Version, and they changing and removing and pulling out they got whole verses missing. At least they changed it so you can know there was a verse there. They done took out whole verses out the book.
Another example of adding is those camps creating scenes.
Right.
Condemning women for wearing pants.
Right. And you, I was talking about that the other day. When you think about it, why are they all, some of these 501c3 large mega camps, all following that same agenda? Not, hey, stop being a homosexual. Not, hey, stop oppressing your brother. Not, hey, why are you not keeping the holy days? Not, hey, why are you not treating, loving your wife like Yahshua loved the church? Why are they not addressing those things? Why not say, hey, why are you not immersed in water? When it clearly says you must be born of water and of spirit. And you're going to be baptized of the Holy Spirit and baptized by fire. Why they picking women? Stop wearing pants.
They asking a brother where your fringes at.
Fringes, stuff like that. Fringes at least is a commandment. But why are they picking these carnal things to be a point of contention, to get somebody into this word, instead of picking the things that are going to stop you from getting into the kingdom?
They trying to win the argument.
Man, they trying to keep us.
Honestly,
I don't even know why you would pick that of all the things we doing wrong in this world. You picking why this woman wearing pants when the priest didn't wear pants. Show me one ancient picture of an Israelite with some Levi's on. I ain't seen it. They ain't had no red monkeys on.
It's a control doctrine, I guess a superiority doctrine.
Right. Now, me personally, I would prefer my woman to wear skirts, but I can't rebuke her and say, well, why you wearing these pants that nobody wore back in the day? And then furthermore, if you even look at what's written, it's not the same word used when it talks about a man wearing women's clothing. It literally means wearing women's garments for a man. But then it says, for a woman should not wear that which appertaineth to a man. It's talking about warrior apparel. She should not be going to war. She shouldn't be standing there in armor like she getting ready to go to war. We don't send our women to war like these confused nations do. You send your woman to war, who gonna have the children? Who will raise the children? Who gonna watch the kids? And now you bring this hardened woman from war and bring her in a household? Come on. Finish that up, Op.
Verse 16. And I... Oh, no, I'm way down.
Yeah.
We're
at verse 20.
Verse 20. He which testifies these things says, surely I come quickly. Amen. Even so come, Master Yahshua. The grace of our sovereign Yahshua, the Mashiach, be with you all.